So this movie is really good, but it is not great. But there are parts of it that are really great and are masterful. I really enjoyed part 1, Dead Reckoning, and this should have been a part 2. There's not much that pulls me into thinking that this movie deserved to be its own separate film. It feels like an after the fact thought to add all of the nostalgia bait that's, plays through his whole career in the beginning. And the throwbacks are fun. I mean, I'm not saying that that's not a bad thing, that, pulling the knife and the guy from the very first film into this last one is, out of place. I actually think it works really well in the franchise. But making it a part 2 and making it shorter and not making it the final movie, but still sending him off like they did would have worked just fine. But by adding in exposition and nostalgia bait inside that exposition for the first maybe 40 minutes just took me down a notch. I just wanted to get into the film. I wanted to keep working that problem and seeing the team overcome their consequences just like they were in the last one. And we already had all the setup from the last one, and there wasn't that much time between the films, so it just seems kind of thrown together to me. However, did it land for me? Yeah, I think it works really well. I think what they tried to do, they accomplished. I just don't think it's as strong as a film could have been if it had just stayed a normal Mission Impossible film without trying to cap end the series. And with that in mind, the movie as a whole is good. And like I said before, parts of it go masterful. The two main action sequences in this movie being the submarine infiltration and exfiltration and the airplane multiple length scene are so amazing, and there's so much in camera that it's just a joy to watch. The fact alone of the water in the submarine, right? He's in the torpedo tube and some other part of the walkways prior to that. It's like a kind of where they hold the torpedoes, and then there's a place before that that's not where they hold the torpedoes, but he's like getting through the sub, right? He's working his way through the sub, and the water is tilting in the camera because they're actually spinning the entire set to make the water follow gravity. It's just so cool. It's really, really neat. There's a element of the train scene from the movie before this where as he moves through his problem, everything that can go wrong does, except not at a level that he can't overcome because he's Ethan Hunt. And it's Mission Impossible. And that's what's cool about these movies from this franchise, that they outline a mission that seems absolutely insane, and then he goes and executes it. That's what's fun about it. And you get two of them in this movie, right? One being the fact that he has to go 500 feet below the surface and jump out of a submarine and get into another submarine and not get hit by another submarine, right? That's all so fun and cool that it just makes the movie. The element on the back end of that, though, that did pull me out, and it's a possible place where they could have stopped this film. They could have made it a really short 90-minute, just like, let's go to the end of the submarine and he wakes up on the ice with what's-her-face, and that's the end of this. That would have been fine. I don't mind that they kept going, but it definitely felt like an ending point that they could have stopped at for the previous movie, part 1 and part 2, and then they could have had a whole nother movie where they, do a trilogy of the reckonings, so to speak. But anyway, the scene of him coming out of it, ripping off his scuba suit at below 500 feet, let's call it 600 or 700 feet below the surface, ripping off his scuba suit and then swimming up, really pulled me out of it, because I was like, wait a second, that's impossible. That's like beyond what Mission Impossible does. They keep things realistic. He always does things in camera. He does things that normal, special operations guys do. Like, he's not superhero, right? And this felt like kind of superhero-ish. But I looked it up, and free divers can actually go that deep, and they can come back. Now, can they do it without fins? That's a question, but, maybe that's just shows his resilience and his ability to just push through the pain of not being able to breathe. And it also means that he's going to go slow enough that he's probably going to decompress some based on the stuff in his system as he moves towards the surface. So he's going to actually have an easier time because he's not moving so quickly with fins or a BCD to release and go all the way up to the surface really fast. But I had a lot of fun with this particular action sequence. The submarine and stuff is just so cool, and I can't wait to see it again. And then on the other side of that, the plane sequence where everything just takes forever because he can't do superhero things is just really exciting to watch. It's a fun time. And they do conclude the series really well. The movie wraps everything up. The place he's at once he comes off the plane and he lands on the ground and he's just in the middle of Africa somewhere is beautiful, and it's like got this, Ving Rhames has got that overdubbed like monologue on what it's meant to them to be saving the world for so many years and all this. It was powerful. It works, and I definitely felt the closure. I felt the series come to a conclusion, and then we get the full-on spy nod at the end, which you wouldn't think that cliche would still work, but it works. And I love that there's no love relationship between the two main characters. Like, they're just colleagues and they care for each other because they work together. That worked really well, and I appreciate the pull of her skill in, because she's got fast hands. Killing of the villain works. Everybody's just knocking it out of the park, and it feels like maybe they could continue it with a new team, because there's no way the Mission Impossible franchise is going anywhere. Tom Cruise will be an executive producer and he'll make just as much money, and maybe they'll pull him back in here and there just to kind of be a cameo like they do Wolverine now. But I can imagine doing a series run of all of the Mission Impossible movies will be worth it now, and you'll get just a semblance of cohesion and, you know, fun across all 8 movies that it'll be worth doing a marathon. So yeah, this was a good time at the theater. I think it definitely is in the pocket. I think the nostalgia stuff pulls me out of putting it above and beyond across the board, and it kind of felt haphazard to me because of that. But it doesn't mean that it's a bad movie by any means. It's just almost above and beyond in general because of how good everything is pulled together. And even what they did execute, even though I don't think it works as well, was executed well. So that makes it just under above and beyond. So yeah, what do you guys think? Did you like this movie? Do you think it's a good conclusion to the franchise? Is there something that we could, glean from the future of Mission Impossible from this movie? What do you think? Let me know in the comments.